Hey, it's Jeff at 650 Cycle, and today I wanted to give you an update on the 2-year winter project, the GL1500. That is this bike right here. Kind of give you an idea of how I got this and what I know about it and what I'm doing with it. That's my goal for today. The 2-year winter project works like this. Over the last 2 years, I had 2 bikes as projects, working on them in the wintertime. It took me 2 years to get each of them ready to sell. That was the ultimate goal, was to just go through them and then sell them, make them nice bikes for what they were, and then sell them. And each of them sold for between $1,600 and $1,700. So that's where the 2-year winter project thing came in. When I got this bike, I said, you know what? I'm not building it. I'm not building a bike this winter. So let's see if I can make that $1,600, $1,700 back in the 2-year period. So that's what the 2-year winter project is. This bike popped up on Marketplace, and it was a pretty nice looking bike, and it said $500, and I couldn't believe that. So I messaged and I said, is this really $500? And the girl come back and said, yeah, it's my deceased father's. I'm liquidating his estate, and it has a salvage title and all of this. And I said, could you hold it until tomorrow when I get off of work and I come take a look at it? She goes, well, do you want to look at it or are you going to buy it? Because I've got a whole bunch of people interested, which I figured. So at that point, I had to make a decision. Is this the bike? Do I want to take the risk on this bike? $500. I've never paid $500 for a parts bike before. Do I want to take that risk on this bike? And do I think it's worth it? I had to make that decision so that I could tell her yes. I decided that I was going to take that risk because enough of the bike was in decent shape. I felt like at the very least I could make my money back and probably double my money, which is what I always like to do. It sounds great, but when you're only spending $200 on something, you double it. You're not a rich man at that point, but that's my goal. When I buy something, I want to at least double my money back. And I felt like I could do that with this bike. It looked like it was in good enough condition overall. It had been down on this side. The fairing on this side, a lot of the plastics were broke. The trunk and the saddlebag had some cracks in them, and the fairing, a lot of the mounts were broken on it. So some issues with all of that, but still a lot of good parts. So I told her, yeah, I will. You tell me when and where. And I got the cash, and I'll be there. I won't ghost you. I'm serious about this. So I'm pretty sure she was getting swamped with, is this available, and whatnot. So, and the people are like, oh, did you take $100 for it? There's those kind of people. So we made the deal, and it came home with me. In the time that it's been home with me, I have figured out a few things on this bike. Not that it's important, but to know the history of something sometimes. I don't know, it's interesting to me. The bike is a 99. It was issued a salvage title in 04, which means it was on the road for 5 years. It had 28,000 miles on the odometer in 5 years. That's probably about right. I don't know if it was this individual who originally owned the bike, and then I'm pretty sure it was wrecked. The insurance company said we're not going to pay for it, and if at that point he bought it from them, or if he bought it on an auction, somebody else had wrecked it, I don't know that part. Not that it's important anyways. But 5 years in, this bike is done, and it's got a salvage title. So he had intentions of fixing it and repairing it and getting it back on the road. Because in 07, I found a bunch of receipts and some other things from 07 that would indicate that he was buying parts that had been broken, like the mirror on this side was broken. He had an extra mirror with it. Some other parts. There was a brand new set of tires. They still had the shipping wrap on them. Date coded 07, so useless to me, but it was apparently at that time that he had decided that he was going to fix this bike back up. Unfortunately, we get to 2024 and nothing had been done with the bike, and he had a few parts collected, and at that point, I don't know what happened, but he is no longer with us. So it's in my possession now, and this is what I'm doing with it. I'm tearing it down. I have a lot of parts to take off yet. I've pulled quite a few parts, but I still have a lot of parts to take off. Let's talk about where we're at financially with this bike. So when I say $1,600, $1,700, it means that I have to get that $500 back first, and then whatever counts after that is the $1,600 to $1,700. It has been 8 weeks since I purchased this bike, and just over a month I had sold enough stuff that it was paid for. 8 weeks in right now, I am up $350. So almost double my money in 8 weeks time. I feel like this was a really good purchase. Lots of parts on it, good parts on it that are still selling. It was an Aspen cade, so there are a few parts from Honda on it that aren't on every 1500. So some of those parts are a little more desirable. People like to buy them and put them on their regular Goldwing, and because they're cool parts. So those kinds of things going on with it. And as you can see, I still got a lot of stuff to take off. I'm sticking with the model of listing a few parts every day on eBay. eBay likes that. That's the algorithm thing that it likes. It's been pretty successful for me on this bike and over the summer since I discovered that. So I'm working on that. So trying to get all of the parts I have here listed off the floor before I pull any more parts off of that. It is in mid-November right now, and my intention is over Christmas I have a couple weeks off, and my intention is to completely tear this down as far as I'm going to tear it down, and get as much of it out of here as possible. I have a pile of parts here, but then I can just pull parts and list. I think this was a very good purchase for me. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to hit that $1,600, $1,700 mark in 2 years. These parts are in good shape, and the nice thing about them as well is that the GL1500 parts go for a little bit more money than the GL1100 parts of equal. Like if it's a GL1500 part, it goes for a little bit more than what I can get from a GL1100 part. So the parts are a little more, I can ask a little more for them. So there's that. A good buy. You see all this stuff on the floor here? 2 weeks ago, I'm going over to my buddy's house, and I see a trailer out by the road. As I get by it, I see a Goldwing exhaust hanging off of it. I said, well, if he's got a Goldwing exhaust there, he's probably got a bunch of other Goldwing parts. And turned around and checked out his trailer load of stuff, and sure enough, he had a whole bunch of Goldwing parts. So I'm looking at them. There was a tag on the exhaust that said $150, which is probably about what I could get for it. So I'm like, I don't know if we're going to be able to make a deal or not. I see a lot of good parts here. I really want these parts. They're clean. I don't have to take them off the bike. It's just a matter of listing them and putting them on the shelf. So he comes out. Unfortunately, he was on his mobility scooter. So he says, I'll make you a deal on all of it. And I said, yeah, what's your deal on all of it? He says, how about $60 for all of it? I said, does that include the exhaust? He said, no. I said, all right. I said, everything in the box is motorcycle parts. And he says, yep, everything but the exhaust. $60. I said, I'll do that deal. Because what I saw were some clean parts, not rusty, not torn up. There was stuff in boxes that I had no idea what it was. So I was like, yeah, I think this is going to be a good buy. So I picked it up, brought it home, and started listing parts out. This section here is about all I've got left of those parts. And about 10 days after I started listing parts, I sold 2 pieces and made my $60 back, and I'm up $45 with just 2 pieces. I haven't sold anything else from this lot, but that lot is paid for and almost doubled my money on it. So a good purchase there on parts. They're super easy because I don't have to take them apart. It can be tricky though sometimes because I had a bunch of pieces and I'm like, what goes with what? I had an armrest and I'm like, what goes with the armrest? I don't know. So sometimes when you get them like that, you don't know if you have all of the parts that you need to mount it, but you list it anyways with what you got, and whoever's buying it can see what's there. So I've been having a really great fall. These last two purchases, the GL1500 and the parts bin buy, have done really well for me. I really like doing this. This is a hobby for me. I don't do this for a living. It's just something I like doing. I like pulling the bikes apart. I like listing them. The way I look at it is that I'm providing parts for someone who's going to use them on a motorcycle to keep their motorcycle going, maybe make it look better than what it does, fix that broken piece. They got to buy them somewhere. So where are they going to go look? They're going to go look on eBay. So I'm trying to make sure that I've got parts on eBay for those people who are trying to buy those parts. I know a lot of guys like to repair motorcycles and get them to the point of running again. That gives them the thrill. And I don't mind doing that, but it doesn't give me the same thrill that I get out of this stuff. I really like doing this. I'm not saying I won't ever do another revival, but I just kind of didn't feel like doing it anymore. So I kind of moved more into this, and I pushed more into this. That's why I picked this up as the 2-year winter project instead of building something. I had a couple bikes ready to build, and it was just like, I just don't feel like doing it anymore. Sometimes you hit those points in your life where things change, and that's what happened there. So I'm not saying I won't ever build a bike, but I'm doing this for right now. So there's the update on the GL1500, the 2-year winter project, and a little bonus buy that I had along the way. I don't always have such success with parts buys. I've bought some in the past, and almost a year ago I bought some parts, and I haven't made my money back on it, so it really wasn't that great of a buy as what I thought it was. So sometimes you got to take that chance. Sometimes you got to look at your risk, and it's like anything, it's a risk. So is it going to pay? Is the risk going to be worth it or not? You have to kind of make that assessment up front, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. Again, this is a hobby. I don't do this for a living. I don't make a ton of money doing this, but I make enough to fund my hobby, which is motorcycles, and I get some enjoyment out of what I'm doing here. So find something that you enjoy doing and do it, and if you're out riding, ride safe.